Hi guys, my name is Kim and this is my story about how my kids are 10 months, 3 weeks apart. So to begin with, I have a 20-month-old and a 10-month-old baby now. So I had my first son April of 2017. I've always known that I want multiple kids. My husband has always wanted multiple kids. But after having our first son, we wanted him to have a sibling, whether it be a girl or a boy, it didn't really matter. So after he turned, or before he turned 2 months old, we said, okay, next cycle, let's try and have a second baby. So we did, and on the first try, I ended up pregnant. We anticipated it, but we didn't think it was gonna be that fast. So my pregnancy was good, everything was good. I am a diabetic, so I had a lot of appointments. So keep this in mind towards the end of the story. Towards the end of my pregnancy, it was becoming very difficult for me to do anything, especially having to carry a 9-10 month old baby who still didn't walk, obviously, because he wasn't even a year yet. He was crawling. And so for our 38-week appointment, we went to the doctor's. Last ultrasound, everything looked good, but we got the news that the baby was measuring at 10.5 pounds. So being a diabetic, this is what comes in. When you're diabetic, your babies are more likely to come out bigger. So by the way, my firstborn was actually 9 pounds, 9.3. So I was thinking that my second would have been at least 10 pounds, maybe. And so when they said that, they were like, okay, so you might have to do a C-section. And at that point, I was already feeling contractions. So I told them, can I get checked just to make sure? They were like, yeah, sure. They checked me, and yeah, I was 3 centimeters dilated. So at that point, the doctor was like, you can either go to labor now or next week, or till the end of your pregnancy. I was only 38 weeks. So later that night, I couldn't bear the contractions, so I went to the hospital and they kept checking me all night. They let me go in the morning. No progress, still the same. I was actually told to tell the hospital that if I did end up going into labor, that I had a scheduled C-section. The hospital wanted me to give birth vaginally, and so did I. That's what I only wanted. But for the safety of the baby, for the safety of myself, we went with the C-section. So that's besides the point though. So I went home. All of Saturday, I was fine. In pain still. The next morning, I woke up in a lot of pain. So we went to visit our parents. When we were about to leave my mom's house, I was bleeding. So apparently I lost my mucus plug. And so later that night, my contractions got even worse. We went back to the hospital at night and they kept me overnight, no progress. And because I was in so much pain with my contractions, they were like, okay, we're just gonna go ahead and do the C-section since the baby's full term. He should be okay. I actually got checked right before my C-section by like hour and a half, 2 hours, and I had bumped up to a 5.5. So that's when they rushed me into the OR because I could have gone in. I was in active labor, and the baby could have potentially came out on his own, which would have been dangerous. So we went into the OR. Everything was fine. Baby came out at 11.5, so he was a whole pound bigger than what we expected him to be. He was healthy, he was good. My C-section took a little longer than expected. From what I was told, C-sections were fairly quick. Mine took a while, but then I was told that my bladder was punctured, and so I had to get sewn up. And then after my C-section, everything was fine. We went to the recovery room, and I ended up hemorrhaging. And for those of you who don't know what hemorrhaging is, you lose a lot of blood after giving birth and you can potentially die, which is what happened to me. I had to get a blood transfusion, and so that's a whole nother story for my labor for my second baby. But so baby came 2 weeks early, and that's how my kids are 10 months 3 weeks apart. So if I wouldn't have gone through what I went through with my second labor, I probably would have had a third one back to back. But I decided to give my body a rest, and I'm gonna wait on baby number 3 for at least a little longer, and hope and see that everything turns out good. So that is my story on how my kids are 10 months 3 weeks apart. Thanks for watching, guys.